gentlemen, we are ready with our next bout of the evening. 3 rounds going down in the lightweight division. Making the walk to the cage first, from Chicago, Illinois, Sean Murphy.
And another huge pop for Sean Murphy, the undefeated prospect out of the Midwest Training Center. A wrestler by trade, but also a very, very slick jiu-jitsu fighter. Big pop in those hands, coming off of a bit of a layoff. He took some time away to focus on some other things. Actually, how about a lot of skydiving? Here's a guy that's went all in on skydiving. Since his last fight, he's picked up 50 jumps, jumped out of the plane 50 times. And he says the reason he loves it so much is because it parallels fighting in a lot of ways. The calmness and acceptance that it takes to jump out of a plane is oftentimes the same sort of emotions you get when you gotta harness your feelings, get it all together, and step inside the cage.
He's very much a thrill seeker, and I think this is going to be a thrilling fight. I mean, we just feel the energy as he walks out. The crowd is enjoying it. He has a nice little spring in his step as if he's excited to go out there and just get into it.
Sean Murphy, from his very first fight, immediately becoming a fan favorite. Just one of these guys that has that sort of energy behind him that is very hard not to gravitate towards. Of course, coming out of MTC, he's gonna be able to put the pressure on and grind on you, but this kid has a very wide skill set, and every time he steps in the cage, it's so exciting to see which Sean Murphy you're gonna get tonight. Tonight he steps in against a very tough customer in David Carroll.
And now, making the walk to the APFC cage, from Monroeville, Indiana, David Carroll.
And here comes David Carroll to the tune of 0 to 100. He's ready to put a foot to the gas and go 0 to 100 real quick against Sean Murphy, the Lee brothers' disciple, a long, rangy fighter. I asked him, do you make anything of the hype behind Sean Murphy? He shook it off and said, no, it's my time to go out there and make my mark. David Carroll looking for his 5th victory, but he's got his work cut out for him against Sean Murphy.
David Carroll does not believe the hype.
Well, one thing's for certain is we have a very interesting matchup. If nothing else, the sizes. We have 2 fighters at 155 pounds that are both over 6 foot. 4-1 is David Carroll. Undefeated at 4-0 is Sean Murphy. 29 years old is David Carroll, 5 years the elder. Both of these guys weighing in at 155 pounds. This one has all the ingredients for an absolute classic. Let's get the ball rolling with the great Michael Hansen. Look at the size of this lightweight, David Evans.
Man, it's very unusual that, one, we see 2 tall guys here. We're going to see strikes, man, coming from the backfield in this one, Christian.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds in the APFC lightweight division, sponsored by F3 Energy. And now, introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a mixed martial artist. He stands 6 feet tall, official weight 155 1/2 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of 4 victories with no defeats, from Chicago, Illinois, Sean Murphy. And across the cage, his opponent fighting out of the red corner, a jiu-jitsu fighter. He stands 6 feet 2 inches tall, official weight 154.3 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of 4 victories with 1 defeat, fighting out of Monroeville, Indiana, David Carroll. And your referee in charge is Chris Claviter.
As the hits keep coming here at the APFC Fight Fiesta, a lightweight bout between Sean Murphy and David Carroll. This place has been electric from the very first bout, but we are reaching a fever pitch here, David Evans.
The crowd chanting in the favor of Murphy here. He definitely has the crowd behind him, has all the hype. Let's see how Carroll deals with it.
Now, some would say ring rust is or is not a thing. Sean Murphy didn't exactly believe that was going to be the case. He really did lean into the idea that all of his training and skydiving coupled with his training inside the gym was going to pay dividends against Carroll. We'll see if that's the case.
You know, they may be the same emotionally. However, when you're in that cage, a fight is a fight. And getting the feel, getting those rounds, it typically does help, excuse me. You see fighters that take long layoffs. They say they don't believe in ring rust. However, at times it can mess up their timing. It can mess up how they deal with certain situations. And Murphy's off to a good start now on top.
It was Carroll trying to press that forehead in just right to keep Murphy against his back, or against the fence, apologize. But it was Murphy that transitioned into a beautiful throw, maybe looking to threaten Darce here.
Looking Darce, was trying to force it just a little bit. I don't know if he particularly had it. However, Carroll back up to his feet now, landing some good knees from that clinch position.
A beautiful knee by Carroll causing, oh, it's actually some mouthpiece of Carroll that flew out there as he attempted the knee.
Look for the ref to step in when he gets an opportune moment here. These guys maybe stalemate in this over-under position.
I'm actually not sure if our referee,
Carroll looking to jump,
is
little side guillotine here, jumping to the mount, using that length and that leverage that he has here. I don't know if he has it tight. Murphy doesn't seem to be panicking here.
More times than not, a jiu-jitsu coach will implore you to focus on that position before the submission, but clearly Carroll thought he had a bite on that neck, jumping for that choke.
You know, I think he felt when Murphy was on top that he couldn't afford to put himself in danger there because he got right back up. So he just kind of pulled guard, went for the neck. Isn't a bad approach. If that's your cup of tea, definitely not mine as a wrestler. But if it ain't broken, if it's working, it's working.
Well, Carroll using those long legs to eventually work his way into hooks there.
Carroll smiling as the ref gives him his mouthpiece back.
Our referee.
Look for Carroll to jump guillotine, triangle choke here as he sneaks that leg over the top of Murphy here. That looks like it's going to be in tight. All he wants to do now is get the left arm of Murphy across his body, and he could even transition to maybe go armbar or omoplata here.
A beautiful transition to the triangle by David Carroll, and I'm not one to say that Sean Murphy was saved by the bell, but he was in a most certainly precarious position as the first stanza expires.
That triangle was in tight. I think Carroll had options. The only option he didn't have is time there. Maybe a few more seconds, we could have maybe saw the end of the fight here, Christian.
Well, the jiu-jitsu of David Carroll most certainly on full display here against Sean Murphy.
Here we go when Murphy got on top. Nice little hip toss in the scramble there. However, Carroll got right back to his feet, got right to work, landing those knees, but both fighters relentless on their feet. We saw Carroll jumped guard there, was able to end up in the triangle position. Didn't solidify it, but the fact that he got there so easily and so efficiently, I mean, I expect to kind of see more of that at some point in the second round from Carroll.
Most certainly throwing a wrench in the game plan of Sean Murphy, who I know is well-rounded, but at the end of the day, he does come from that wrestling background. When you go out there and you realize that these wrestling exchanges are leading to you fighting off the jiu-jitsu of your opponent, most certainly that's going to change the mindset of the fighter and of his game plan.
Yeah, and I think for Carroll, you know, I said it earlier, it's kind of hard to give the fighter the round when they're on their back. However, I think Carroll just had one of those rare instances where he was on his back and he's working. And right back to a guillotine from his feet, jumping in. That looks tight, Christian.
That is a very deep guillotine, front naked choke style. Pulling guard, but that choke is all the way in, locking it in, and Sean Murphy in a world of trouble. The referee checking on his consciousness, and that is not the case. Sean Murphy is unconscious as David Carroll picks up a huge submission, advancing to 5-1.
Perfect execution by David Carroll. snatched the neck up, didn't really force the choke, got positioning with his forearms, and it was more of a blood choke than the air choke, which is why we didn't see Murphy panicking. He probably thought he was okay until he was out.
My friend, I don't know where you keep that crystal ball, but in between rounds, you said we were going to get more of the same, more of those submission attempts from David Carroll, and we immediately got just that in a fantastic finish as he puts Sean Murphy out at the beginning of the second stanza.
Here we have it, the replay. I mean, there isn't much to show there, man. He got that guillotine, just flawlessly applied it, didn't force it too much, and then we have Murphy just out. I don't think he knows what's going on at this moment of the fight, and we just hope, you know, he's okay, he's going to recover okay, and just learn from this experience. But, you know, you mentioned the crystal ball, man. Christian, I might know a little something about this fight game, man.
My goodness, you have been around the game once or twice, my friend, and that is on full display as well. But David Carroll, the moment belongs to you, my friend, as the Lee brothers' disciple picks up a huge win. It looks unbelievable inside the APFC cage as the fight fiesta rolls on, and let's hear from Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, our referee Chris Leviter ended the fight. The official time, 23 seconds of round number 2. Declaring your winner by submission via guillotine choke, David Carroll.
David Carroll, your winner by submission. Sean Murphy had his moments, but at the end of the day, it's David Carroll who proves to be the victor. My goodness, he really did show us a lot in a very short amount of time, David.
Murphy came here with a bit of a hometown advantage as far as the crowd was concerned, right? Carroll had his back against the wall, so to speak. The crowd chanted against him. They were super hyped for Murphy. However, Carroll was able to implement his game plan. He did what he worked on, got the submission finish, and then we also heard the crowd just kind of, you know, give him some praise on his way out.
Well, a performance like that most certainly is going to sway a lot of people in the audience. That very much the case.
And here we have the highlights from another exciting fight. We saw Carroll get to that triangle position. I think you were right when you said that, hey, he just ran out of time. However, when he got his opportunity in the next round, he locked up that beautiful front guillotine choke, didn't hesitate to jump guard and put his opponent out to sleep.
What a performance by David Carroll. That is very likely going to be a fight that a lot of folks in attendance are going to go home talking about. Looking very slick was David Carroll.